Hey, Chicago, next Thursday, April 9th, we're doing some comedy at the Fizz Bar, watching bad wrestling. Come on down and have a laugh with me and some of my friends. ColtCabana.com for some cheap tickets. All right, enjoy the show.
This is the Art of Wrestling with professional wrestler Colt Cabana.
Hey, all right. How you guys doing? Hope you're all rested up after that crazy wrestling weekend. Come on in, sit down, and let's do it. Let's listen to the Art of Wrestling, a professional wrestling podcast. It's a life podcast. It's a personal journal. It's an entryway to the minds, the souls, the hearts, and lives of the people involved in the world of professional wrestling. I am your host. My name is Colt Cabana. I am a WrestleCon man. I'm a WrestleCon man. I'm also a guy who watched a friend and a guy who I've known since very young in his wrestling career go on and have a sweet, sweet moment Sunday at WrestleMania. I'm also a guy back to driving my car, been fixed, out of the repair shop since it got wrecked in a giant wreck. Those are all things that I am. Most importantly, though, I am a professional wrestler, and I am sitting here live in the studio apartment in Chicago, Illinois. Before I go any further, this is a fan-supported and listener-supported podcast supported by people just like you. I give it to you free of charge every single Thursday on ColtCabana.com, iTunes, SoundCloud, wherever you get your podcasts from. A couple great ways that you could support, rate, and review on iTunes. Tell a friend, let somebody know. How about a little social media love, Twitter, Instagram, however you're doing it, or if you got a couple of bucks in your pocket, head on over to ColtMerch.com and DigitalColt.com. T-shirts, buttons, pictures, posters, DVDs, digital downloads 1 through 35. Those episodes are over there. The Wrestling Road Diaries, I'll sign a copy to you. Just ask me to do it. Go grab it at ColtMerch.com and DigitalColt.com. All right, I'm here in one piece. The show's going to be a good one. It might sound like my voice is a little bit gone due to maybe Family Feud versus wrestler, or maybe having the craziest, weirdest six-man tag of all time, or maybe talking at a convention or doing 2 live podcasts. No, it's because change of the weather, and I decided to put the fan on really high because it was kind of hot in my room, and then, you know, that's when you wake up and you just got that shitty, scratchy voice. So that's what I got going for me. I think I'm all right, though. I'm getting through. I will talk about those things in a second. I do want to talk about my guest this week, though, Headbanger Thrasher, or Thrasher of the Headbangers. And this was a good one. Before we get into it, this is a good one, like a real good one. I enjoyed this immensely. Thrasher enjoyed this immensely. And I want to tell you the kind of people that come on my podcast. He is the one who is a friend, and I'm always like, do you want to do it? And he's like, fuck yeah, I want to do it. So then it's like, okay, I'm going to be calling you or texting you. Let's be honest, I'm not calling anybody. I'm texting you, and I'm going to say, hey, you want to do it then? Or you want to do it here? Or you want to do it now? And then he started becoming like a dodger, like he didn't want to do it all of a sudden. But I don't want to be the asshole who's harassing him because that's not fair to anybody. I don't want to pressure anyone into doing this. Like, you have to want to do this. Otherwise, I don't really want you on the podcast. And I think we've seen examples of that before from different episodes. It's just much easier when you want to do it. So like, I kind of confronted him. I'm like, what's the story? And he's like, I don't think I have any stories. I don't know if I'll be any good. And it's like, Jesus, you've been around for so long. You're such a fun dude. It's not about telling stories. And like, I don't know if somebody set that precedent in podcast past now, or because there's so many podcasts out there, like people think they have to come up with stories. But I don't know. I said, come on, we were at the same show together. Let's do this. Trust me, it's just a bullshit talk. And then it's great. It's great. It's such an easy conversation. So many cool things that I didn't know about that kind of come out during this talk. And he's a funny, great dude. And so is his partner. Go back and listen to the one I did with Headbanger Mosh. It's always fun. I think it's funny to call them they got real names, but that's how we know them. Headbanger Thrasher, Headbanger Mosh. Just side note for these guys, like they're in their 40s, but they are awesome. And I still think there's a part for them to play in wrestling. It's just kind of sad that, maybe it's not WWE or maybe even not TNA. And like, I know for some reason Cornette tried them in Ring of Honor, and they are great and they're great talents, but I don't think Ring of Honor is the place for these guys, but there is somewhere for them. And like, maybe even if JCW had television or somebody, I mean, they're in great shape. They have great attitudes. They love wrestling. And I know I'm combining them together, even though this one is just, for Thrasher. If you don't remember, he's kind of the taller one. I would say he's the Bert to Masha's Ernie. Sorry, buddy, Chaz, if you heard that. I don't think that's an insult. But definitely a place, and they're out, and they're still doing it, and they're great. The Headbangers, one of my favorites. I'm so happy that they're my friends. That's cool. You know who else is my friends? A lot of the 100 wrestlers that were at WrestleCon this past weekend. And I don't know, a lot of stories coming out from this. A lot of fun happenings. I did a show in front of 1,000 people, and I know that there was WrestleMania going on, and a lot of my friends had bigger matches in front of way bigger crowds. But for me, 1,000 people packed into a ballroom, that's good. I'll take that any day of the week. And they were electric. It was really, this was an obvious one-off show. This is not any kind of promotion. This is just one of the most random shows of all time. And the lineup was bizarre. The Hardys versus Sabu and RVD. And I don't know, Matt Stryker versus the Man Scout. Jack Evans and Aerostar and Andrew Everett. It was just a hodgepodge of who's who. And that crowd had a fun vibe, like they've been a part of something forever. Well, I guess they have been, a community of wrestling. So I'm going to try to remember this. It's on my Instagram. Let's see if I can remember this. It turns out to be captains Colt Cabana and Chris Hero. And then here were Hero's picks. On Hero's team, Drew Gulak, James Storm, Abyss, Hero. Who else was there? Kurt Hawkins and Tommaso Ciampa versus me, Ezekiel Jackson, the Dudley Boys, Tommy Dreamer, and Evan Bourne, which must have been the most expensive match of all time to put on. And I think that's a lot of fun for a lot of reasons. I think it was fun to hold my own in that, amongst all those names, and especially with the crowd. B, it was easy to get the cheap pop on the go to sleep in front of a WrestleMania type crowd. And also, I made a comment to a couple people. First, I said to Brian Kendrick, who was another name, and there were so many superstars back there. I was just like, I don't think we're really appreciating how weird this locker room is. And also, if we were young, it's almost like if I was Julio De Niro in that weird Legends of Wrestling locker room in that pay-per-view, that's kind of what it would feel like. And then I also made the statement about maybe Drew Gulak in our match, that in 15 years down the road, when he's a big star and a big television star, because he is one of the shining stars in wrestling and the independent wrestling, he's gonna say back to some friends, oh, I was once in this weird match, and then he'd start listing off all these guys, and it'd be the weirdest list. But that'll be a great memory, just the way I do it with King Kong Bundy, or I talk about that one time I wrestled Tough Tom from Disorderly Conduct. He's going to also have that memory of that match in 10 to 15 years. So fun to be a part of it. Fun to be a part of WrestleCon. And a shout out to, I think they were two brothers from Los Angeles, and we shared a shuttle back to the airport Monday morning. They wanted me to tell a story about how their friend won the Mick Foley raffle, and he had this story of how they had to push Mick Foley's car for 2 miles because Mick forgot to fill up gas. But that's not the story. The story is these two guys who told me they love getting high and drinking and watching Colt Cabana stuff like it's their favorite pastime. And they were such bros, but awesome. I hope they're listening right now. And they were just like, why the fuck didn't WWE do anything with you? What the fuck? And they were so passionate about it. And at this giant convention, I just point over to Bruce Pritchard, who's sitting at his table. Nobody's signing. Nobody's really getting his autograph. He's just kind of sitting there on his phone. I go, Bruce Pritchard was on the writing team. Why don't you go ask them? And they ran over to Bruce and berated him. I kind of like it. I kind of like those guys. At first I was like, oh no, don't do that. But then I was like, yeah, fuck it. Fuck all those suits and their authority. Fuck those guys, right? You tell them, dude, bros from Los Angeles. One of them was a baseball coach at a junior college. Kind of summed it all up. Good weekend. Headbangers were there too. Thrasher was there. Let's get into it. Song of the Week this week is brought to you by DraftKings. I'm talking daily fantasy sports online. Spring training is underway, and that can only mean one thing. Cubs will sadly disappoint me this year? Well, yeah and no. It means baseball season is almost here. There's never been a better time to check out DraftKings.com, America's favorite daily fantasy baseball site where you could win huge cash prizes every single day. No season-long commitments. There's different types of games and wagers you can throw down on as far as baseball goes. Just pick 2 pitchers and 8 position players, and you can do it daily. DraftKings has already crowned over a dozen millionaires. I think Ted DiBiase was one of those. Instant cash, instant gratification. It's like the new version of bouncing a basketball 10 times in front of Virgil. That was a Ted DiBiase throwback right there. Hurry to DraftKings.com now and use the promo code WRESTLING to play for free in the $100,000 fantasy baseball contest on opening day. First place takes home $10,000. Use the promo code WRESTLE for free entry now at DraftKings.com. DraftKings.com, that's DraftKings.com. Song of the Week is Brian Christopher. Yep, I chose him. Trying to cross over once again, just like his daddy tried. Thrasher was there in this era. He knows all about the territory. I'm talking about It's a Memphis Thing. That's the song. Enjoy it. We'll be back with Headbanger Thrasher.
He was the best.
It's just on when we're ready.
Okay.
Let's talk about your tattoos. What the fuck is that one?
Actually, this is probably my.
I thought that was Bart Simpson, and then we saw the top of it.
It's not. It's a mean leprechaun with a hatchet, and then a guy's head between his legs.
Good Lord.
Actually, I tell everybody it's the head of my father because he's a prick bastard.
Wait, and you said there wasn't going to be any good stories on this thing?
But actually, it was just because there was a whole bunch of space in the middle of his legs, and I thought, what a better place to put a head.
Of this goblin. So it's a goblin with an axe with a hatchet. It kind of looks like Leprechaun, and in between his legs, like you said, there's space, there's a head.
It's a severed head.
Not to be confused with your prick father.
Right. Well, I tell everybody that story because, my father was the one that, he left my mom and my brother and myself when I was young, and he would always be that guy saying, hey, I'll come pick you up. And I was like 4 years old waiting by the window, and Dad never came and everything else. And then he read my name in the papers for football when I was in high school, and he started coming around again.
That's so, like...
And then disappeared.
That's such a movie, but that's so, crazy that happens so much, doesn't it?
So true, yep. And then he disappeared again after I got out of high school, and... He reappeared when I became on WWF TV.
I was going to say,
I'm going to say WWF the whole time.
Please.
Because I don't believe in WWE.
You don't want to get the F out.
No.
You want to stay the F in.
It's just stay the F in. Yeah, keep the F. Keep the F. Drop the F and you just lose everything.
Drop the F-bomb, which you're more than welcome to do.
Fuck.
Here. Thank you very much. Yes. So your father left. So when he left when you were 4, but he said on the way out, or did he
I actually never remember my father ever being in the house.
But so when would he say, I'm going to come play ball with you or whatever?
Well, he would just say, I'm going to come pick you up this weekend.
Just random phone calls?
Yeah, I mean, he would call periodically in a month and, hey, I'm going to come pick you up this weekend and we're going to go out and do this. And, it never happened.
How many in the family?
Me, my brother, my mom. That's it.
Okay.
Just us.
What, would your mom just would
Chalk it up as another loss.
Steve, fucking Steve,
or
whatever.
Jim.
Yeah.
She'd be the one. She'd be like, oh well, let's go outside and shoot some basketball. Let's go outside and have a catch with the baseball or throw the football around. My mom was
the greatest.
Everything. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah.
She worked 2 jobs just so we could live in a house and not grow up in an apartment building or a complex or something like that. And she still does that today. Takes care of everybody but herself.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Where's she living? Down in Florida with you guys?
No, she lives in South Jersey still.
Have you ever thought about moving them down to Florida?
I've tried to get her to move down so many times, and she just won't. She has so many ties up in South Jersey.
I always think about when we used to do the arena, and we'd walk around the ECW arena, and there's just like, I think Blue Meanie kind of like, because I slept at Meanie's house once, and like there's like
oh man, that's a story by itself.
Yeah. Well, Jasmine was there too, and it was
Joel boy,
pretty awesome. And not in the end for
another
Meanie.
episode.
Yes. But like there were just these like, it was like a real it just seemed like a 1940s city, like Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And I feel that, and I remember there just being like old ladies on the street and like
bag ladies,
but like they don't want to leave. They like, like the way I think, like, oh, all grandmas go down to Florida.
Yeah, I mean, she will eventually, but right now she has a house. She lives with my niece and her 2 kids.
Okay,
that's a whole nother story.
Right.
It's my brother's daughter and my brother's grandkids.
Okay,
live with my mom.
Your brother's grandkids?
No, my brother's grandkids.
Good Lord.
My brother's daughter, and then her kids.
Wow.
So his
brother older than you?
Yeah, he's 4 years old. 4 years older than me.
That's wild.
So yeah.
And in Jersey.
Yeah, South Jersey. Yep.
Yeah, and you're a Jersey guy.
A Jersey guy.
That's awesome.
But never me. It's funny because whenever we take bookings now, we make sure the weather's nice and good before we go north. Yep. Before we go north, we have to make sure the weather's all right.
I thought I had
and here
some
we're
demands.
sitting in Boston with 5 feet of fucking snow outside.
Yeah,
it looks like freaking Alaska.
What happened there?
We thought it was March. It would be nice, and the fall would be coming, and it wouldn't be so bad.
That's what you thought.
Yeah.
Although this booking, I remember I got this booking like a year ago.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Boy, would that shoot us right in the foot. Fuck.
Is that why you moved down to Florida for good weather?
Just for the weather. Yep. And be closer to Chaz and everything else, and 25 years, 22 years together.
You guys have been, it's weird, and like I don't want to make. I wonder if like what's going to come up. I guess it's good that we're doing this so apart. The one I did with him, because maybe I don't even remember anything, but I do know.
I don't remember much either.
You don't remember much.
No.
Oh, good.
No.
I do know, like there was always you had stuff going on like before he did.
Yeah, well, I was actually I started back in '91, and I think he started in '93. So I was already in the business 2-3 years before he even.
And you started off like you kind of were. Correct me if I'm wrong. You were like kind of you had a quick 2 years. Like you were established a little bit, right?
Yeah. My first 6 months in the business was rapid. I had my first match within 3 months of starting training. And then 3 months after that, I did a short tour of Japan for a month with Baba's group.
Come on.
Yeah. Swear to God. It's when the Nasty Boys got signed by WWF to come back.
Okay.
And they needed somebody to take their place. And Larry Sharp, was the owner of the Monster Factory, he was friends with Dory Funk Jr. or Dory Funk, and he was booking at the time. And he goes, well, I got these guys. Dory Funk.
Who's Junior? Not Junior?
I don't know. Is
Terry Funk's brother?
I don't know.
Isn't that Dory Funk Jr.?
I guess. I don't know. I'm confused. It was Dory Funk. I guess. I don't know if it had to be Dory Funk Jr.
Yeah, I think so. All right.
But anyway, he called Chaz or Larry up and wanted to book some guys over there. So Larry sent pictures of me and another guy from the school and said, all right, make these guys the tag team. And we went over. We had long black trench coats, just like the Nasty Boys. And we were called the Favorite Brothers.
The Dirty Boys?
The Favorite Brothers, Frankie and Johnny. Frankie and Johnny Favorite. I was Frankie. I was Frankie Favorite.
So this is all Japan?
Yep. I wrestled. One of my first matches over there was against Abby, Abdullah the Butcher.
This is ridiculous. Hold on.
Stan Hansen was over there. Danny Spivey was over there. Oh yeah.
Were you just like, wrestling's great? Look how this works out. You show up to training.
I was so green. It was unbelievable. It was unbelievable.
Does
What
that even happen
lesson.
anymore?
No.
Like that's
Not anymore.
That's ridiculous.
Not anymore. It was being in the right place at the right time.
So hold on. So you trained 3 months.
Had
you got
my
your
first match.
3 months later,
I got booked in Japan.
you're in all Japan.
I was in Japan for a month. It was a whole month. A month tour.
You had to be the greenest guy ever to wrestle in all Japan.
It was unbelievable.
Did you like in your mind? I'd like to know, like in your mind, then did you hold up well, and then looking back, can you realize like how awful you were?
Oh my God! Oh yeah. It's so funny because I have this giant picture of me and Abby. You know, me juicing, of course. I didn't know even what juicing was
Or how to
at
do
the
it?
time. How to do it? Nothing. He juiced me.
Of course.
He gigged, Abby's deal.
Jesus, should I even sit next to you right now?
And it's so funny too because we're in the back. He's like, "Champ." He calls everybody Champ.
Yeah.
Hey, Champ. I'm gonna get you some color. Go get some juice. I'm gonna hit you with the bell. I'm gonna hit you with the hammer. Go get some color. I'm like, color? What? What are you
Is this
talking?
because you're a black man?
He's like, what? I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, I'm going to blade you. And I'm like, I'm looking at his forehead, and you can literally put a quarter in, and all his gig marks on his forehead. And I was like, could you go side to side, please, or not up and down? He's like, yeah, I got you. I got you. Never felt it. Never felt it. Abby was he was the best smelling guy I think I've ever
Get
wrestled.
out of here.
I swear to you.
There's a wrestler named Dan Moff who I don't know if you know Dan or not, but
No.
he's a Puerto Rican guy and he wrestles in New Jersey, and I can't get enough of him. Like
That just sounds weird.
I'm always like, you smell great, buddy.
It was so weird. I don't know if it was just, I don't know. He was, and Abby over there at the time, he was like the Hulk Hogan of Japan. I mean, he was it. He would go to the ring
Just
and people would
fucking
scatter.
chicks. Oh.
It was just crazy. I went out with him that night.
Yeah.
I went out with, because, he had sponsors.
right.
So I went out with him that night, and oh my God, just everywhere you went, he was like the king. It was unbelievable.
Imagine like our society, America, we look at that body type and we're like, ugh. But like in Japan, like imagine if he was like all girls want to do is get naked with Abdullah.
Oh my
Butcher.
God! Oh my,
Like,
he was married to a Japanese lady.
of course he was.
Yeah.
Of course, he was the king of Japan at the time.
Oh my God! And Stan Hansen was just crazy. We would leave the arenas. It was bizarre, and he would always come out and he would be swinging that cowbell and everybody else, so nobody would get near him to take pictures, except this one time. He comes out and he starts swinging it, and here's this little kid, wasn't even watching, taking pictures, smacked him right upside the head. He got on the bus and he was like, "Son of a bitch, I hate when they get so close." He felt so bad.
He felt he's a real person.
Yeah,
even though he was
was.
a monster.
And it's so funny because I saw him not that long ago at a convention, and we were driving with him in the car. And I said something to him about that. He was like, "Oh my God, I do remember you. I do. I remember that." And
That's funny that you're at this position where you're the guy still asking, like, "Hey, remember I was on a show with you?"
yeah, because I'm still a fan. I
Right.
mean, I'm still.
But how many times do people come up to you now and they're like, "I was
Yes.
on a show with you this time,"
Yes. Yes.
And
I
here
remember
you are.
watching you when I was 9. What? Don't say that.
Of course,
You
but-
jerk off. Fuck. But yeah, it was neat, and it made me mature very fast.
I'd imagine
in this business.
Did you suck? Like, did you suck, or were you passable?
No, I was passable. I mean, because I have an athletic background with football, and I wrestled in high school and stuff like that. So I had an athletic background. It came very fast and natural for me.
The
to
wrestling
do this.
did, yeah.
Because like most people, they get into it and they have a hard time adjusting to bumps and taking it, making it look believable and stuff like that. But at this time, I was still going up to WWF doing the superstar shows and stuff like that when they were doing tapes.
The first 3 months.
From the day I started.
That's so crazy.
I learned that my first 2 weeks, all I did was bump. And then right after that, Larry would send us up to be extras, jobbers, whatever you guys want to call it, to do WWF TV. Mm-hmm. And at that time, they were running all the time up and down the East Coast. So it was almost like every month we were going up there. It was me, Dwayne Gill, Barry Hardy, all those guys. We always went up there. And, one of the things that Larry always told me about this business, he goes, it's a lot easier kicking somebody's ass and making it look believable. But taking an ass whooping and making it look believable, that's an art. And it absolutely is.
Well, he only told you that because he wanted you guys
to make him money. I mean, yeah, I came back and gave him 10% of whatever we made.
Exactly.
But I mean, he got us the booking. I mean, and that's what it was back then. You respected the people that helped you.
Of course. Well,
and even when I went to Japan, I came back. I gave Larry 10%. Why? Because I wouldn't have been there if it wasn't for him.
You shouldn't have been. Yeah, I would have given him 50%.
Absolutely. There's no way in the world I should have been there. None. But it was weird because we got over there and we wrestled in a tag team for about a week and a half, and then he got hurt.
Really? Who was that guy?
His name was Mike Picari.
Was he around for a long time? Or was he another just one of these 3 weekers?
No, he was around longer than I was before I went.
Yeah.
So I mean, he was probably in the business maybe a year.
Was there people at the Monster Factory who were jealous and upset that you went?
Probably, because I mean, ever from the first time I started down there, it was almost like Larry took me under his wing. I went out and I worked out with him. I ate dinner with him. I was his project at that time. But I mean, at the time I was 180 pounds.
Did he find you or did you seek him out?
It was so weird. He sent postcards to graduating seniors that had athletic backgrounds.
So wild. That's so smart, but
right. But I mean, you would think that people would do that today's day and age, not 20 years ago.
Yeah.
25 years ago back then.
Well, he revolutionized the training business, didn't he?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's the only place I would ever tell anybody to go get trained. Would be at the Monster Factory, which is in Paulsboro, New Jersey. Cheap plug.
MonsterFactory.com.
And no, it was just he sent these things that says come down for a free tryout, and it was so weird. Right before I graduated high school, I went to a high school wrestling tournament, and it was in Paulsboro, and it was right across the street where he had the Monster Factory. And I'm pulling up to the wrestling tournament, and I see it over there, and I see his sign and pro wrestling pictures all over the outside and everything else. I'm going, oh, cool. We had a break, so I went over, and I'm peeking in the window, and I see the ring and everything, and I'm like, oh, well, yeah, that's neat. And never really had any interest. Watched it occasionally.
Yeah.
Back then we had, it used to be at the Spectrum once a month in South Philly, the old Spectrum. And it was on Prism TV. It was a cable channel.
I've heard the name. I'm obviously not familiar with
right.
it, but I've heard, I think people talking about
people
that.
in South Philly will know.
Yeah.
And which probably 4 people will listen.
16 of them.
Of your millions of people.
And millions.
And so I used to go over to my aunt's house and watch it every now and then and everything else. I remember seeing Superfly jump off the cage and stuff like that. And it was never really, I want to do that. I really want to be a pro wrestler. It wasn't anything like that.
But it was a thing in your life.
It was something that
casual.
It was neat. It was, yeah, exactly. It was casual. It was so casual. And then I got this postcard and everything else. I graduated high school. Still, I wrestled at 170 pounds in high school. 6'4", 170 pounds. I could hide behind a stop post, a street lamp. I could hide behind anything. So I went to a computer school in South Philly and got a computer degree. And then
you didn't play ball in college?
No, I didn't go. I didn't do any kind of college.
Right.
I was hard headed. I just want to go out and make money. I didn't want to go to school.
Were you recruited?
I was. For football, I was.
Yeah.
Wrestling, I got some letters from and everything else, but I got more letters from football. I excelled at football. I wish now, the one regret I do have, I guess, growing up is not pursuing that aspect.
Is not winning a Super Bowl ring?
No.
Is that your?
I won WrestleMania. That's my Super Bowl.
Okay.
And but I went to a computer school. I did that, and then I did that for about a year after I graduated high school. And I just absolutely couldn't stand. I was working 9 at night to 7 o'clock in the morning, 4 days a week.
Ugh, doing what?
I was running payroll checks with big giant mainframes and computers and stuff like that.
Just at night, through the night?
Just through the night.
In an office or at
in an office.
That sounds awful.
It was terrible.
Yeah.
I was 18, 19 years old. And I had no social life at all.
And you, oh God, even worse. And I was going to say, like, I bet, like, you had to think, like, oh, I'm 18 or 19. I have 70 more years of this.
Yeah, right?
Is this what I'm going to be doing?
I'm going to be sitting here with this old guy that sits in here and bitches every single night about his life.
Yeah, and you had to have been like, that's going to be me, right?
Exactly what this guy did that I worked with. He just sat there and bitched, son of a bitch, God damn it. And he'd be sitting there eating a sandwich running these payroll checks. And I was like, oh my God, this is my life.
Yeah, by the way, that guy's dead right now.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, that's crazy,
much.
right?
Yeah.
Like, he's lived, it's done. He's done more.
Yeah. He had to be 50, 60 years old then. So, yeah,
we'll just
probably
assume.
deceased.
We'll assume. Oh,
God bless him.
R.I.P. R.I.P. Angry payroll man.
I don't even remember his name. But, you know, and then I always had this postcard. I kept it. And I don't know why I always kept it, but it was always sitting on my dresser, tucked in my mirror and stuff like that. And then just one day I picked up the phone and I dialed the phone number, and Larry would pick up the phone and he would be going, Monster Factory, get monsterized.
Jesus Christ.
And he would scream that in the phone, and I hung up like 3 times. 3 times. I just hung up the phone. And then finally on the 4th one, I went, all right, I want to come down for a tryout. And it says, come down for your free tryout and everything else. So I set up a day and everything else. And I take my mom, my stepfather goes down with me and everything else. And I walk into this. It looks like a little tiny, it was like a convenience store. It was so small. Yeah. You stood in the ring. You could touch the ceiling with your hand. It was so small. But I walk in the door, and here's all these cameras, lights, and everything else. Australia was there doing a special on the Monster Factory. So I walk in, I'm just like...
Just the whole country?
Just
Australia?
Australian TV.
Oh.
I don't know what it was.
I like the idea of just Australia.
Came to the Monster Factory, yeah. It was Australian TV. I don't know what it was, and smart ass. And... you know, I was blown away by it. And there was like 7 of us there, did tryouts, and... all he does for a tryout, he shows you the 3 basic bumps. Back bump, the handstand, front flip, and then shows you how to run the ropes. Doesn't teach you how to run the rope, shows you how to run the ropes. There's a difference. There's a huge difference.
Right.
So we get done, and he takes us in the office one by one. So a guy goes in, he comes out, and he goes, no, he told me I didn't have it. I went, what the hell? Second guy goes in, comes out, he goes, told me I didn't have it. I said, but you said that you had money for him. He goes, I laid down cash on the table and he didn't take it. He told me that he wasn't going to be able to train me because I didn't have enough athletic ability to do it. And I was like, oh my God. So I walk in and I'm like, listen, before you say anything, let me go out and gain some weight. I'm out of high school about a year. I'm probably about 185 pounds. Let me gain some weight and everything else. He goes, kid, be a lot easier to teach how to do all these flips and jumps and everything else at 180 pounds than it would be at 225. I sat there for a second, looked at him. I go, when can I start? He goes, you give me 1,500 hours now, $100 a week, and you can start tomorrow. And I started the next day.
Wait, okay. I'm calling bullshit on the other 2 guys, though. No way he didn't take their money.
They legit
Come on, that was for the TV.
Left.
That had to be...
you know what? It very well could have been.
And then he ran back after him when the TV shut
But
up.
I never saw those 2 kids again.
Shit, that's so...
There was 7 of us that tried out, and I think only 3 of us actually started.
I mean, but wasn't that school like a cash grab, kind of?
At that time, Larry always... Because I asked him, after the fact, I said, how come, you turn people away? He goes, because if I train somebody, they carry my name their whole entire career. He goes, and I don't want to be associated with somebody who goes, you got trained by the Monster Factory? So, and then it clicked. It made a little bit more sense that he would turn people away because, that's his livelihood. Right. That's what he made his living on, training these guys and stuff like that. He had people that, would come down there from other countries and stuff like that. There was kids that came from England just to train there for 6 months.
And you were in that, so like it was kind of as like the territories were dying. Well, hold on. Yeah, I guess 91 territories are starting to die, but that Monster Factory, I guess Monster Factory, like 87 was kind of the hot years of like. I feel like the Bigelow years, right? But like
Bigelow just came out. Chris Chavez, Tatanka, Papa Shango.
Yeah.
You know, all these guys.
Did you train with these guys?
No, they were gone right probably about 6 months before I got there.
Did you feel, it's interesting because nobody, like from my school, like Punk and I were like kind of like the first two, like there wasn't ones before us.
Right.
And so like, I guess, did you feel like a kinship to those guys, or like kind of like a high school thing? Like, hey, they went to my high school.
It's weird because you do kind of, because, you know, after the fact and you know, you see their pictures on the wall and they're on TV every single week and stuff like that. And you're going up and doing jobs and you're like, hey, you know, Larry told me to say hi. You know, I also trained at the Monster
Even
Factory.
if he didn't, you still want that in? Like,
So, exactly. Of course you wanted that in because you didn't know if you were working that TV taping or not. So, you know, and you did. You felt, you know.
And were the guys always?
Very, very.
Of course.
Oh, really? You're one of Larry's guys? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
It was very.
I never had that at my.
It was very a respect factor.
Yeah.
That school carried that name. It was cool. It was different, and it's so weird. And that's how I met Tatanka, Chris, and become great friends with him even today. And you know, we just saw him tonight.
Right.
And it's the same thing. Always, how's Larry?
Yeah.
Always, how's Larry?
I guess you always have that thing to talk about.
It's you always have that common ground.
Who did you wrestle? Like any of those fun stories? Like I guess the jobber stories. Did you go like 5 times or like 40 times?
Oh my God, I went every single. It was so weird because everybody used to say, you know, once you go up there and you have that jobber name
Stigma.
attached to you, you'll never be able to work in that company, or you'll never have a full-time job with them and everything else. And I went, you know what? It's experience that you can't put a dollar amount on, or, you know, just that time in the ring with those professionals, you know, because back then, how did you make superstars?
Say it again. What do you mean?
Back then, how did the superstars become superstars?
Okay, they beat the shit out of dudes.
Exactly.
Right.
And so you had to go out there and you had to sell your ass off to make them who they were. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's still it's kind of like that today, but somewhat.
So, but again, so you were like, I still don't care. I want to do this.
Right. I was like, there's no way I can. If I say no, that I don't want to go up there, then they're going to know I turned it down.
Gotcha.
And I didn't want to do that. I mean, I got to know so many. I got to know Jerry Lawler that way. I got to know, Chief Jay Strombo that way. Chief, Tony Gurria, all those guys.
It's crazy. It's crazy how wrestling's changed now because because I remember that so when I was breaking in '99, like that stigma was still there, but it's starting to not happen anymore. And now it's not like, it's like everyone's desperate to go do this.
Right.
And desperate to go do the job matches, so maybe they could, and that's almost the only way you can get a look.
Right, to be seen, yeah.
Yeah, and so back then, it's just like if you were one of these guys, it was like known that you weren't going to be.
I mean, think about it. Barry Horowitz. I mean, what's he know? Jobbing.
Yeah,
but he made a career out of it.
Right.
He made absolutely.
Did
Iron Mike Sharp?
Yeah,
made a career out of it.
Well, did you see? I mean, obviously you had higher hopes, but did you see that, and were you like, man, maybe I could be like Barry Horowitz or Iron Mike Sharp or Jose Luis Rivera or something?
No, I thought I could be more than that.
Okay.
I thought I could be more than I used that to make more connections, because that's what Larry would always teach us. Sometimes it's not how much you know, but it's who you know.
Right.
And, going up there and meeting Lawler and, Jim Cornette and everything else, it got me to Smoky Mountain. It got me to, Memphis. It got me in a lot of other doors. Mm. Eventually, yes, you stop going up there because, you want to pursue another route.
Yeah.
But I mean, you still don't take away that experience that you get from that.
And that was not a route to become a star.
No, absolutely not.
Maybe right. PJ Justin Credible maybe was one of the guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
But other than that, maybe the Hardys were one of the guys that kind of.
It was funny because they were doing that when we got signed up there. They were coming up there because they still did the job matches every now and then, but they were made more competitive. It was funny because when we signed our contracts, our first contracts were TV contracts. They were considered part-time contracts. You weren't eligible for any kind of merch or anything like that. You just showed up for TVs. You got a flat rate. They paid for everything. That's it.
Okay.
That's all you were guaranteed. No house shows, no nothing. I didn't care.
Yeah.
I was doing 2 TVs a week.
Were you on the hustle doing indies and stuff too? Or?
Yeah, I mean, not then, because we were on TV now every week.
Right.
So we were happy.
So you worked once a week?
We worked maybe twice a week. That was it.
But enough to live on?
We were making $1,000.
Oh, that's great.
I mean, we were getting $500 a TV.
Yeah.
And no matter if you worked or not, that was your deal. At that time, that's right when Smoky Mountain closed. So that's when you had, T.L. Hopper, Salvatore Sincere.
Were you guys part of that?
Yes.
But like exactly part of that? Because
Yep.
it seems like you guys were you the only ones that stuck?
We were the only ones that got hired full time.
And maybe Candido stuck around a little, right?
I think Candido was a little bit before us. Yeah.
But there was that, because I remember there was that closing, and then there was that Cornette probably felt bad and got a bunch of his guys jobs.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. But see, you know what's funny? And that's how Jimmy was. I mean, there's a lot of stories out there about Cornette.
Yeah, I could give you about four.
I'm sure. I have great stories about Cornette.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy, he comes across that if you don't want to know the answer, don't ask Cornette the question.
Right.
Because he's going to tell it to you straight.
That's the new version of Roddy Piper.
You
don't want to know the answer.
He's going to tell you straight up.
Of course
and,
he is.
We went down to Smoky Mountain after we did our stint for Memphis and everything else. And first thing he said that we did Memphis is the spiders on their hoods and stuff like that. So we come over to Smoky Mountain. He's like, guys, I love your work and everything else. Can't stand the hoods. He goes, so let me come up with a gimmick for you and an idea and see what we can do. Now the gangsters were being, waved out. They were being cycled out at that time. So he comes up. He goes, hey, I went to a dancing concert the other night. We're like, what?
Danzig.
Dancing.
Almost sounded like a dancing concert.
Not dancing.
I went to a dancing concert.
And we're like, no, you did not.
Right.
There's no way Jim Cornette is at that dancing
And then,
concert.
the night before, I went to Eazy-E. And we...
Yeah. It was totally the opposite of what we thought would come out
Sure.
of Cornette's mouth. And he's like, and I saw all these guys, and they look just like you. Because we always had the tattoos. We always had the piercings and everything else. He said, they're crazy. He goes, they were slam dancing. There was a mosh pit and everything else. He goes, I'm going to call you guys the Headbangers. Mosh and Slasher. I went, Slasher? There's a guy named Slash in a band. He goes like, all right, Thrasher. So that's where he came up with the names. He goes, and by the way, he goes, there was this one guy that was wearing a wedding gown. We're like, absolutely not. So we put that on the back burner. So we come out for Smoky Mountain TV and we're wearing, cargo shorts, rock T-shirts and the face paint and everything else. And then we're looking over at Memphis TV and we looked an awful lot like PG-13.
Okay.
And we're down in the heart of the Bible Belt, down south, Knoxville. Everybody, is very one way down there. They're very, tight-assed, to say the least. And so we saw Axl Rose from Guns N' Roses wearing a kilt on stage. And Chaz is like, you know what? And Chaz has gone to these mosh pits since the time he could go to concerts. And he's like, well, let's just go to Salvation Army, see what we can find. So here we are, two guys, we're, 230 pounds at the time, in Salvation Army trying on skirts.
Yeah.
So we're like, you know what? Let's just try it and see what happens. Cornette wanted us to be so over the top. He wanted us to find roadkill on the side of the road and drag it to the ring.
Wow.
He wanted us way overboard. Needless to say, we didn't do the roadkill. But we started wearing the kilts and the skirts and stuff like that. And down there, they hated us. Absolutely hated us. We got in brawls with fans and everything else. We got chased out of Clearfield, Tennessee. The only way to get in Clearfield, Tennessee is going into Kentucky to get to. One road in, one road out.
Did you ever, because I get it, like you guys were so of the norm, like so different, but you were different than everybody else, but then also you were like those kinds of kids You know what I'm saying? So, and obviously, when you went to WWF television,
Yeah.
I'm sure they all reached out. I know you became baby faces eventually, like because those types, like
That's what it was then. Because
did it happen? And did it happen anywhere in the Knoxville area or
we were never really baby faces down there.
But did it ever happen where like kids were like, hey, like there's these guys in town that are kind of like us?
A little bit, because I mean, back then that's when Marilyn Manson was big and everything else, and all over the news. Don't go see Marilyn Manson. He worships the devil, and these kids,
Right, and he's a heel to a lot, but to some he's the biggest baby face.
Exactly.
Of them all. Yeah,
exactly. And and they related to him. And why did they do it? Because everybody told them not to.
exactly. Yeah,
They weren't hurting anybody. They weren't killing anybody. They did it because they liked it.
and it's kind of it's like the Juggalos that we went to.
Exactly.
Right. Of course.
Exactly.
Of course.
It's what they like, and so that's why we started doing, and it took off.
But it was heel down south.
As soon as we did our tryout match for Vince and everything else, and it was weird because the first time right after we did the tryout match, we went to did you just pull up your zipper?
My zipper chair.
The hell? So we've been talking this whole time, and your helmet's poking out of your pants.
I looked down and my zipper was down.
What the hell? So anyway,
Come on, you wear a skirt. Fuck off.
so we go up to Titan Tower like right after we do our tryout match and stuff like that, and we go into Shane McMahon's office.
Can I ask you this? Did you have a dark match or like before?
It was a dark match.
Okay.
It was a dark match. But we already knew, Cornette's like, our dark match was against, I think it was PJ and somebody else.
Was it there to make you look good or?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
We went out there, we went over, usually when you have your dark match, they want you to go under
Right.
because they want to see the mentality that you have after
You
that.
cry, right?
Right. If you're in the back, I can't believe I lost.
Yeah.
And
Which you would do a lot later in your career.
Yes. Yeah. And we go into Shane's office, and he has the autobiography book on his shelf of Marilyn Manson. He's like, I love Marilyn Manson.
Yeah.
He goes, I listened to it, and it blew us away. Never thought about it. And then, we were never told to go out and be baby faces. We were just told to go out and be ourselves. So we went out and we just did it. And at that time, that's when the kids were, painting their faces, and they were wearing the trench coats, and they had piercings all over the place and everything. And I think that's what caught on with the Headbanger gimmick.
Was there anyone like that on? I wouldn't say WWE television, but even WCW television. Was there?
The only one I could think of back then was Vampiro. But
but he wasn't on.
He was WCW, and he did the vampire thing.
Right.
So it was never really. It was totally opposite of the Rockers, Rock and Roll Express. It was the total.
It was. I mean, it's pretty original. I would like. I feel there's a couple of guys on the East Coast scene, and maybe like that were around that did something similar to like that. Did anyone ever? I know there was a guy named I think Judas Young did something like that, and maybe like Reckless Youth, kind of like
He was after us.
he was that. That was all. That.
He came from the Monster Factory. Reckless,
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And
Yeah. So I mean, it was a pretty fucking solid. It's crazy that not crazy, but like I just remember, and I'll say this, and I kind of want to. I remember watching it. I was at WrestleMania 13, so I saw. I remember seeing you live, and I remember
we were part-time. We were still under part-time contracts. WrestleMania 13.
Did you get 500 for WrestleMania?
No.
Okay.
No, pay-per-views were extra.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I remember like you guys looked at it was committed. I felt like you were those people, and you're saying Mosh was.
It's not that far off.
But is it? I mean, was it far off from you or no?
No, I mean I like Marilyn Manson. I like the hard old stuff.
But you're even now at X amount of years old, maybe in your 40s.
Yeah. I'll be 46 in June.
And wow, you look great for 46. Fucking. So you're still like a weird, wild child.
Yeah. Well, I mean, who else gets kicked out of an airport shuttle to the hotel?
Is that what
us? That happened today. Today.
What did you do?
So we fly. You didn't hear this?
No.
Oh my God.
You guys are fucking idiots.
We fly into Logan, and we call the hotel, get the shuttle, and 11:30. All right, he'll be right there. 11:55, we call back. He's on his way. He's leaving at 12 o'clock. Wait a second. You just said he was on his way. Is he on his way or is he leaving at 12? He's leaving at 12 o'clock. Takes him 20 minutes. Okay, great. So we wait until 12:30. Call a third time. He's on his way. There must be a lot of traffic. Click. Hung up on us.
Ooh.
So we're sitting there. Thank God we weren't standing out in this god-awful weather.
Sure.
They had one of them
This
little
beautiful
shelters.
spring March.
They had one of them shelters with the heater in it. And we're sitting there. And, of course, we're playing with the snow and stuff like that. We're making snow angels. Build me a snowman. And so then we call back again, quarter of. Is this guy coming or not? He's on his way. He must be stuck in traffic. Click. Very short. Hangs up on us. So I look at him. I go, they're not here by 1 o'clock. We're taking a cab. It's 10 miles. How long could it take to drive 10 miles? Yeah. Finally gets there at 2 of 1. So the guy gets out. He puts our bags in the back. I'm like, dude, an hour and a half? We've been waiting an hour and a half. Traffic. Spoke very little English. So I get in and I get into the seat and Chaz gets in. Here comes a gust of wind. So Chaz grabs the door and pulls it shut and everything else. Guy gets in the car. You not smash my door. You not allowed to smash my door. He takes the keys of the van and runs out of the van to the airport. And then we lost him. Woo. So we're just sitting there in the middle of this road. There's 8 cars behind us, beeping the horn. Other courtesy drivers are getting out, banging on the window. We're like, I don't know where he went. Next thing we know, there's a knock on the window. State trooper there. Guys, can you get out of the car, please? Swear to God, this legit happened today. So we're like, sure? What's going on? He goes, you're going to have to find another ride. This guy is fearing for his life because you smashed his door. Wow. We looked at the cop. We went, really? The wind blew and we shut the door. So, yeah, it's closed hard.
Yeah, but you guys are two big fuckers.
He didn't do it on purpose. And he even said to the guy when he got in, he goes, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. And the guy was already taking the keys out and running. He goes, well, he's in fear for his life now.
Man.
So we had to take a cab.
You guys
After
are
an
real
hour and a half,
That's
we had to take a cab.
fucking awful.
I said, this would have been nice to know an hour and a half ago.
Yeah,
I could have been at the hotel, a long time ago.
You're real heels, man.
So, it's true. It's so weird because, when everybody says, well, what's the meaning of the Headbangers? It's, not worrying about what other people think of you. Go out, wear what you want to wear. If you want to paint your face, paint your face. If you're not hurting anybody, who gives a shit? Mm-hmm. Does it really matter? You're not breaking any laws. You're not doing anything. But I mean, it's exactly how we've always been. We go out, we have fun, we don't hurt anybody. Do we get in trouble a little bit? If we wrote a book, would we be in trouble? Probably. Yeah. Probably some of the stuff that we did when we first started and stuff like that. But I mean, it was just it was unbelievable. Never in 22 years of me and him being together did we ever get thrown out of an airport shuttle bus to the hotel.
That's
never,
it, man.
Just every time there's always a new story, a new thing that happens.
Were you guys? I guess you can't brag about it, but were you guys there's certain guys in the locker room that are just infectious to want to be around. Did you find yourself people wanting to hang around the Headbangers?
It's funny because
or were you too young?
Because when we were on the road. And we would do TVs. Al Snow would constantly call us. What are you guys doing tonight? What are you guys doing? Oh, we're doing this. And we'll call you if we get into something. Then we'd be calling out at 3, 4 in the morning. Al, listen to this. What is that? It's us hitting this girl in the head with this rubber trash can in the room. What is she doing? Laying on the bed? I don't know. It's just funny stuff that we used to do and stuff like that with, the ring rats and
sure.
stuff. But it was just funny things that people would just want to hang out with you, whether they were fans or the other. We always drove, from town to town in a group of us. We would either drive sometimes we drove with China, sometimes we drove with D-Lo. Ken Shamrock would drive with us. Owen drove with us a couple times. It was back then. It was so weird. Is if you needed something, there was always somebody there to help you.
As opposed, what do you mean? As opposed to what?
To the way I think it is now.
Like,
I think it. I don't think it's like that up there now.
Meaning, like, there's not. Explain that a little bit, I guess.
I mean, like back then, it's
like everyone was looking out for everyone, kind of thing. It was more of a team, maybe.
Absolutely, it was more when I looked at our time. Even now, when I look at our time back there, it felt like it was a family. Like whenever we wrestled in Philly and we brought our family and my kids over and stuff like that. Because I have 2 older kids that one's 21 and one's 19, but they used to go with us to TV and stuff like that when we were around. Owen would be in the cafeteria coloring with them and catering, and China would be out there playing hide and seek in the arena with them, and it was very much the Bret Hart commentary. Go play with the Headbangers.
Was it Wrestling the Shadows?
Yeah. He would told Blade, go play with the Headbangers. Leave me alone. I'm doing this.
Yeah,
that's how it was.
Yeah.
To me, everybody knew where their place was in the company. We knew we weren't main event. We knew that. We knew that was Steve. Undertaker.
Blackman?
Yeah, Steve Blackman. Yeah, absolutely. He hit you with that stick. He could be main event in my book. But I mean, everybody knew what their spot was. We knew we were mid-card. That was our job. And we were all right with that.
But I mean, obviously, not like you knew your spot at that time. Like in a perfect world where you're trying to move up.
You're always trying to move up.
Right, you're not trying to.
But I mean, back then, Chaz would always be floating ideas through, the writers.
What was the idea to move? So I guess you have the Headbangers, and the Headbangers are the Headbangers, and like, right. So I guess there had to have been some like, hey, like both of you guys were probably to yourself like, all right, how do we evolve this? Was there that question going on between you two guys? Like, how do we evolve to move this up a step?
Back, not really.
No, just show to show.
We were enjoying the ride.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yep. And then we got brought up. Vince comes up to us. He goes, "I want to do something off the wall and crazy." Okay, what do you want us to do? Did you ever see Sally Fields when she played the nun? We're like, yeah. Did you ever see her big, giant hat that she wore? It looked like she could fly with that hat on. Yeah. I want to call you guys the Flying Nuns. I'm going to put you with Bruce Pritchard, and we're doing a new show, Shotgun Saturday Night, from the bar scenes in New York. Since we lived in South Jersey, there was no trans involved. There was no nothing.
Right.
It was cheap labor.
Yeah.
I mean, it was what it was. And
he looked at you guys and knew you were local.
Right. So it was easy for us to get in and out.
Yeah.
So
it's so weird to hear.
It's what I believe.
Right. Good theory.
But who knows? So he comes up with the whole thing and everything else. He goes, but what I'm going to do eventually is intertwine them together. And we're like, ooh. I'm going to come across and we're going to start noticing that the nuns have facial hair and they look an awful lot like these other guys and stuff like that, and say, you know what,
they've got penises.
So great, right? They got doms down to their knees, and I'm going to involve them two together and say, you know what, the Headbangers are so crazy they don't care if they're wearing nun outfits or they're wearing skirts. They just want to fight. And we were like, that's a great idea. And then the Catholic Church got a hold of the whole nun thing, and it got
I remember that got scrapped.
Clobbered quick.
Yeah.
Yep.
Were you guys? I might have talked to Jez about this, but like, was it like, oh fuck, we're done with after that got scratched?
No, because basically what it was told that they got a lot of, I guess, mail about the nun thing. Probably because we did the big church in New York City and stuff like that. We did a promo there, and we get out and we're praying like on the steps of the church and everything else. We got our heads down, and next thing you know, church lets out. Had no idea what church was letting out. Here comes this little old lady, comes next to us, and she sees these nuns outside praying, so she comes up and she's praying with us.
This was on the reel?
This was real.
Okay.
And they're shooting this as we're doing this. And she comes up and she's praying with us, and she looks up and she sees, the earrings and the goatees, and she starts beating the shit out of us with her purse. I can't believe you're doing it. You going straight to hell and everything. And Vince is in the limo going, get in the car, come on. So, yeah, that was one of the funny moments with the nuns, and then we got arrested in the Disney store. They aired that, and we literally almost. I mean, it was. We were told go in there and just pull stuff off the shelves, everything else like that. And they were shooting it as we were doing it, and we were supposed to go in and out as fast as we possibly could. And yeah, we almost ended up in jail that day too.
You guys just see stuff you like, and you're like, and then, so I mean, what happened with Chaz became Beaver Cleavage and stuff? You got hurt, right?
I had we were doing Monday Night Raw or something. We were wrestling against D'Lo and Mark Henry, and Mark just got there. He was pretty green at the time, pretty new. So some part in the match, I was in there with Mark, and duck a clothesline. He didn't rainbow it. He threw it down. His forearm clubbed me on the top of the head, knocked me out. I dislocated my knee joint. My knee joint came out on live TV.
Oh,
and
that's on TV somewhere on the network.
Probably on the network. And
so what happened? So you
I got knocked out.
Right, but so because you got knocked out, your knees didn't know where they're going, and they just flopped. Or
it was like you ever see a boxer when he gets knocked out and he falls on his it's like a puppet. When the puppet gets cut, the strings get cut, and it just collapses. I just collapsed.
And so
and my knee just
happened to flop. Oh god,
came out.
Gotcha.
And so I'm like hopping and stuff after coming to. Hopping, and I knew something was wrong with my knee and everything else. So I go in the back, and we had Francois was back there. He was our chiropractor / medicine man kind of thing.
Okay.
He was, he was great. So he popped my knee back in and stuff like that, and I continued to work on it for probably about another month. And then the night before we were in Madison Square Garden, I think it was for Monday Night Raw, I was walking across the ring and my ACL just popped.
You were walking across before the show, or just
no, during a match. It was against Too Cool.
Okay.
It popped and I went down again, and that was it.
And that was kind of the end of your WWE career,
well,
right?
I mean, kind of, sort of. I mean, I came back after it. I didn't get to go to Dr. Andrews like a lot of people get to do.
Yeah.
I was pretty much left out on an island by myself.
Did you get surgery?
I did get surgery. I got my ACL replaced. I was out for about 9 months, and that's when Chaz was doing the Beaver Cleavage thing and other things because they still wanted to utilize him, and then tie, me coming back into pulling him back in as,
Gotcha.
Mosh,
Okay, maybe I do remember you coming back.
So, my first match back was in Atlanta against Mr. Hughes and Chris Jericho.
Okay.
And so that's when we came out and we started making fun of everybody. Everybody that we wrestled, we made fun of. The Dudleys. Chris Jericho, we had to... It's when he used to wear the fountain hair.
Mm-hmm.
The fountain hair. He had that one ponytail on the top of his head, so we did that and everything else and made fun of the Dudleys wearing the dummy boy shirt and everything. And so that's what we did that for a while. And then, I couldn't get the knee injury out of my head. I wasn't.
That's football shit right there.
It was bad.
Right?
I mean, it was bad.
Yeah.
I felt myself. I couldn't run as fast. I was taking baby steps across the ring instead of full strides. Mm-hmm. So they sent me back down to Memphis. At the time, it was MCW or something like that at the time, to get back into ring shape. Because I was out of shape. I was bad out of shape. And I come back from that and do a couple more TVs. They sent me back down, and I could not, for the life of me, I was like, you know what? I can't do it.
It was just mental, eh?
It was totally mental.
Why did I become Canadian there? I said, hey, I don't know.
know you did.
That was weird.
We are pretty close.
Yeah, fair enough.
And, I wasn't wearing like the Steve Austin brace on my leg at the time, right? I was just wearing a neoprene sleeve. And
I love if they were like so protective of Steve. They're like, yeah, you can't wear the brace to help save your career. Like you can only wear like even though you need it.
Right.
I don't know.
Well,
okay.
I mean, they didn't know what doctor I went to.
Right.
I just, like I said, I was on an island by myself.
They weren't.
They had no idea who fixed my knee. They just knew I needed knee surgery, and I was going to be out.
Go get a surgery.
Right. Everybody else that ever needed surgery, they got referred to Dr. Andrews and stuff like that.
Even at that time?
It was funny because Brian Christopher had a knee injury not long after that, and he went through there and stuff like that. Dr. Andrews did a lot of stuff like that.
Why weren't you? Why you just?
I don't know.
You weren't on their top priority list, you think?
I don't know.
That's crazy.
I don't know.
That's sad.
We're not on their alumni page. It's like we never even existed.
Wow.
It's like we never even existed.
No, let me put in a call. They're friends of mine.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, it's weird because everybody always says to us, "How come you guys don't come back for old school Raw or something like that and everything else?" We would love to do that. Absolutely love to do that. Just one more time, in the ring and stuff like that. Because you
guys don't look like assholes. I mean, you look great. You look like assholes, but
right.
Right.
I mean, I always thought we were very respectful. Whenever they needed somebody to do an appearance or something like that, we were always the ones they came to. Mm-hmm. We were company guys.
Yeah, that's kind of a bummer. I've never thought of that. Maybe a lot of people have never thought of it. But now it makes sense. Like obviously, something you guys have definitely thought about. Every time one of those happens and you're not invited, it's kind of like, fuck.
Yeah, it's like why don't we get a phone call for that? The WrestleMania, it was in Miami, a couple years ago. We live in South Florida.
Yeah.
Never got a phone call.
And it's weird. You don't want to be like, can I come?
Right. I don't want to call. I want them to call us and go, you know what? I want you guys to do, the XS and stuff like that. We would love to do that.
Right.
Just to see everybody,
It's weird. I mean, I get not that you've been exiled from
it almost feels like we are.
Yeah, and you guys were such a cool part of that era. Man, I'm bummed out just thinking. Not to make this a bummer, but fucking God.
Not even close to it. It right after they did WrestleMania down there, about a couple months after that. I think it was February after WrestleMania, the following year. They did SmackDown. We went down there. We saw everybody and stuff like that. We were invited by Road Dogg.
Cool.
We had our little backstage passes, badges on. And we had to dress a certain way and everything else.
With the dress.
I'd
love to see your biz cash and the Headbangers.
It was interesting.
Like a suit and tie and then a dress on.
Yeah, right. But we saw people, said hi and everything else, but it was just, we saw Triple H, said hi to him and everything else. We wanted him to see, what we look like now.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's weird now because I have people even tonight's show going, you guys look like you did in 1997.
Yeah, you do. You really do. You guys both look great, and it's a credit to both of you guys.
And it was a far cry. I was out of it when I left wrestling. I left for 10 years. I got out of it totally. I ballooned up to 315 pounds.
I've seen some pictures.
I was huge.
Yeah.
I was huge. And then what was the turnaround for me? I went, you know what? I don't want to go out that way. I didn't want to go out like that. So it was so weird. I went down to Florida for a family vacation. It just happened to be Chaz's 40th birthday party. Something stuck in my throat. And I saw pictures of it, and I had, beers in this hand, food in this hand. I was double fisting everything, and I was like, you know what, this is crazy. So I packed up my whole family. I moved to Florida. I went to the gym twice a day. I lost over 90-some pounds. Wow. And it was like in 6 months, and then we slowly started doing stuff again and everything else. And, it was weird. There was 10 years, me and Chaz kind of, lost contact because he was living in Florida. I was in, Maryland, South Jersey area and stuff like that. And it was just like, you know what? He was always such a big part of my life that I don't want that to end like that either.
Yeah.
He's the godfather to my second daughter. And, we were
What's
always...
the godfather?
Uncle Chaz.
Oh. I meant the other Godfather. That was a bad joke. Sorry.
It was. It went right over my head.
But he also went to Larry Sharp's.
Yes.
It's full circle.
Chaz went to Larry. I trained
No, but
Chaz.
the Godfather.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that is.
Did you get it now?
I got it now.
Okay, all right. I'm trying to think of his other name.
Well,
Kama Mustafa. Is that
Papa
better?
Shango.
Papa Shango. That was it.
That was
Sorry.
his first one.
Yes.
And then Kama.
Okay.
Mustafa. And,
I just threw that right off with that shit joke. I'm sorry.
But it was I saw pictures of myself, and then I packed up. I had no job, no nothing. My wife didn't have a job. We packed up 2 small kids at the time and just moved and said, you know what, we're just gonna
start a new life.
We're gonna just try it. I'm gonna try to get back into wrestling. I'm gonna do all this stuff and everything, and it worked out good because the gym I started training in, I now manage a gym.
Nice.
I'm the GM for it's UFit Health Clubs. Cheap plug.
You're welcome, UFit.
It's been great. I wish that it never got that far. Another little life regret. When I gained all that weight and stuff like that, I was totally, I don't want to say depressed, but I wasn't.
You feel like shit when you're that big, of course.
I kind of was. Well, I was working at Domino's Pizza. I was an area supervisor for them. I was running 5 stores, and people mess up pizzas, I'm taking them home. I got a free meal.
Sure.
And
which is great when you're a teenager and you could do it, but
not when you're over 30.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And it goes right to you.
And I was drinking entirely too much, beer and stuff like that, and I just ballooned up big time, and it made everything worse. It made my knee worse. It made my back worse, and everything else. And I lost all that weight, and I feel better now in the ring than probably I did back then.
That's great.
And I feel like I still do some of the stuff that I did back then. I can still do a moonsault off the top rope. I'll be 46 in June. Yeah, I can still do it. So it's funny too, because we get in there with some of these guys and go, you guys haven't lost a step, and everything else is. It's a mindset. You take care of yourself.
Cool.
So,
and you guys are back on the scene. You're around, taking bookings. It's pretty. I see you. A couple years ago, we haven't seen each other that much as of late. I'm sad about that. Yeah. But we're running into each other a lot back maybe a year ago or so.
Yeah. Well, we're doing a lot of juggler stuff.
A lot of the clown stuff. But cool. So how can
stuff?
How can people get in touch with you and all that stuff?
I follow everybody on Twitter.
Cool.
It's GR Thrasher.
GR Thrasher
on Twitter. I got 2 Facebook accounts. They're full right now. Sorry.
Okay.
It's Glenn Ruth, or it's Headbanger Thrasher. So I get everybody when I can.
Cool.
People drop off, I add everybody.
All right.
I try to talk to everybody. It's always about the fans. It always has been about the fans for me.
Yeah.
So without them, we wouldn't have jobs.
I like it. This was fun, man. Jeff,
yeah, what? Yeah,
you were a little worried.
Yeah. Well, no,
it's not about stories. It's about just talking.
It wasn't the fact that I was worried. It's the fact that I do all these damn other pod shows and people that think that they have podcasts and want to do radio interviews. It's not radio. It's on Facebook. You don't have a radio station. You're on Facebook.
All right.
And they ask you the same 12 questions.
Yeah.
That you answer every single time. Yeah. How did you feel when you won the championship?
I didn't even know you won a championship.
What do you mean? How do
that makes you feel better?
How the fuck do you think it made me feel? Jim Cornette took us down in the basement so we could jump around and not make asses out of ourselves in front of everybody else. That's how it felt. It's just it was just it's easier sitting here with you.
This is right. This is all right.
Yeah, this is great.
I hope you don't regret it.
No.
All right, thanks for being on, buddy.
Hi, buddy.
Yay. I told you it was a good one. Thrasher, kid at heart, still looks like a kid. Looks great. He's the greatest. I like him. My friend. All Japan when he was a little baby in wrestling. Blows my mind. All right, good episode this week. Go support those headbangers. All right, before we get out of here, let's get into some plugs and
upcoming events.
All right, the best way that you can support, ColtMerch.com, DigitalColt.com, Twitter and Instagram at Colt Cabana, Facebook /AOW Podcast and Colt Cabana. I got a very public email, ColtWrestling@gmail.com. Maybe you're a promoter and want to put me on your upcoming show or convention. CutMyPromo.com is my new web series. Freight Train cut a promo for me this week. And ColtCabana.com has my P.O. box where I love getting snail mail. The guys at Somas.com sent me 2 free memory foam pillows. How awesome is that? They're great. Basically, they want the podcast to continue, so they sent me these Somas memory foam pillows so I can get a better night's sleep and I can continue to podcast. Genius move. Amber sent me a gift. Thanks, Amber. And Alex from Journey of a Frontman sent me Good Burger on DVD. Pretty good. I'm definitely going to watch it. Upcoming this Friday, April 3rd, I'm going to be on a UK tour. I'll be in Yeovil, one of those, England, Facebook/Ultimate Pro Wrestling. Saturday, April 4th, Portsmouth, England. Sunday, April 5th, Broxburn, England. Matt Classic will be appearing. RevolutionProWrestling.com. Thursday, April 9th, please come to this comedy show in Chicago, Illinois. ColtCabana.com. We're going to watch Bad Wrestling. Friday, April 10th, Berwyn, Illinois. AAWrestling.com. Saturday, April 11th, LaSalle, Illinois. DreamWaveWrestling.com. April 19th through May 4th, I am touring for Pro Wrestling Noah. Chris Hero and I will be the team of Big in USA, Big in Japan. Get it? Now you do. Saturday, May 9th, Summit, Illinois. ResistancePro.com. And Saturday, May 23rd, Rahway, New Jersey. ProWrestlingSyndicate.com. All right, that's it, kids. I appreciate you at home for listening to the show. I really do. Thanks to Thrasher of the Headbangers. Thanks to Cable Guy Jeff and Stu Stone. Thanks to Kid Russell, Matt Jenkins on the music, Dane Miller on some tech. Let's thank our sponsors, highspots.com. Hundreds of full-length titles available to download, plus all the $5 wrestling titles, the Freight Train documentary, a wrestling ring, wrestling gear, so much more. OneHourTees.com, who helps run ProWrestlingTees.com, the place where you can directly support your favorite independent wrestler directly. Support them directly. Buy their shirt. TweakedAudio.com/Colt. Those are the earbuds I'm using. Get over 30% off and free shipping just because you listen to this show. That's it. I got 2 days at home, and now I'm heading off to England. 2 days. 2 days at home. Last week I had 2 days also. The week before I also had 2 days. Call me 2-Day Tommy. I got 2 days in this box of an apartment I got. I'm drinking a big gulp right now. Diet Mountain Dew. I don't think I'll ever kick pop. I tried to get on a Zevia tear, but regular diet pop. It's too good. I'm going to have about 5 of them on the trip over to the UK. All right, I'm out of here. Too much rambling. Hey, this has been The Art of Wrestling. For Colt Cabana, I'm Colt Cabana. Thanks.